Shalom, and welcome back to day 253 of reading the Bible in 52 weeks. Woo. Dear God, be with me today as I read your word. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Let's go. Today we're reading Daniel 1 through 3. In the third year of the reign of King Jehoiakim of Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came to Jerusalem and laid siege to it. The Lord handed King Jehoiakim of Judah over to him, along with some of the vessels from the house of God. Nebuchadnezzar carried from the land of Babylon into the house of his God and put the vessels in the treasury of his God. The king ordered Ashpenaz of chief Enoch to bring some of the Israelites from the royal family and from the nobility, young men without any physical defect, good-looking, suitable for instruction, and all wisdom, knowledgeable, perspective, and capable of serving in the king's palace. He was to teach them the Chaldean language and literature. The king assigned them daily provisions of real food and wine that he drank. They were to be trained for 3 years. At the end of the time, they were to attend the king. Among them from the Jewites were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The chief Enoch gave them names, so he named Belshazzar to Daniel, Shadrach to Hananiah, Meshach to Mishael, and Abednego to Azariah. Daniel determined that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine he drank, so he asked permission from the chief Enoch not to defile himself. God had granted Daniel kindness and compassion from the chief Enoch, yet he said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who assigned your food and drink. What if he sees your faces looking thinner than the other young men your age? You would endanger my life with the king. So Daniel said to the guard, the chief Enoch that had assigned to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your servants for 10 days. Let us be given vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then examine our appearance and the appearance of the young men who are eating the king's food, and deal with your servants based on what you see. He agreed with them about this and tested them for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, they looked better and healthier than all the young men who were eating the king's food. So the guard continued to remove their food and wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables. God gave these 4 young men knowledge and understanding in every kind of literature and wisdom. Daniel also understood visions and dreams of every kind. At the end of the time that the king had said to present themselves, the chief Enoch presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. The king interviewed them, and among them no one was found equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they began to attend the king. In every matter of wisdom and understanding that the king consulted them about, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians, mediums, in his entire kingdom. Daniel remained there until the first year of King Cyrus. In the second year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams that troubled him, and sleep deserted him. So the king gave orders to summon the magicians, mediums, sorcerers, and Chaldeans to tell the king his dreams. When they came and stood before the king, he said to them, I have a dream, and I'm anxious to understand it. The Chaldeans spoke to the king, Aramaic begins here. May the king live forever. Tell your servants the dream, and we will give the interpretation. The king replied to the Chaldeans, my word is final. If you don't tell me the dream, you will be torn limb from limb, and your houses will be made of garbage dump. But if you make the dream known to me, you'll receive gifts, reward, and great honor from me. So make the dream known to me. They answered a second time, may the king tell the dream to his servants, and we will make known. The king replied, I know for certain you are trying to gain some time, because see that my word is final. If you don't tell me that dream, there is no decree for you. You have conspired to tell me something false or fraudulent until the situation changes. So tell me the dream, and I will know. The Chaldeans answered the king, no one on earth can make known what the king requests. Consequently, the king, however great and powerful, has never asked anything like this of a magician, medium, or Chaldean. What the king is asking is so difficult that no one can make it known to him except the gods, whose dwelling is not with mortals. Because of this, the king became violently angry and gave orders to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. The decree was issued that the wise men were to be executed. They searched for Daniel and his friends to execute them. Then Daniel responded with tact and discretion to Arioch, the captain of King's Guard, who had gone to execute the wise men of Babylon. He asked Arioch, the king's officer, why is the decree from the king so harsh? Then Arioch explained the situation to Daniel. So Daniel went and asked the king to give him some time so that he could give the king an answer. Then Daniel went to his house and told his friends Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah about the matter, urging them to ask the God of heavens for mercy concerning his mystery, so Daniel and his friends would not be destroyed with the rest of Babylon's wise men. The mystery was then revealed to Daniel in a vision at night, and Daniel praised the God of heavens and declared, "May the name of God be praised forever and ever, for wisdom and power belong to him. He changes the time and seasons. He removes kings and establishes kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals the deep and hidden things. He knows what is in darkness, and light dwells with him. I offer thanks and praise to you, God of my ancestors, because you have given me wisdom and power, and now you have let me know what we asked of you, for you have let us know the king's mystery." Therefore Daniel went to Antioch, whom the king had assigned, and destroyed the wise men of Babylon. He came and said to him, "Don't destroy the wise men of Babylon. Bring me before the king, and I will give him interpretation." Then Arioch quickly brought Daniel before the king and said to him, "I have found a man among the Judean exiles who can let the king know the interpretation." The king said in reply to Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, "Are you able to tell me the dream I had and its interpretation?" Daniel answered the king, "No wise man, medium, magician, or diviner is able to make to the king a mystery he asked about, but there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries, and he has the king Nebuchadnezzar. Now that will happen in the last days. Your dream and the visions that came into your mind as you lay in bed were these: Your Majesty, you were in your bed. Thoughts came to your mind about what will happen in the future. The revealer of mysteries has let you know what will happen. As for me, the mystery has been revealed to me, not because I have more wisdom than anyone living, but in order that the interpretation might be known to the king, and that you may understand the thoughts of your mind. Your Majesty, as you were watching, suddenly a colossal statue appeared. The statue, tall and dazzling, was standing in front of you, and its appearance was terrifying. The head of the statue was pure gold, its chest and arms were silver, its stomach and thighs were bronze, its legs were iron, and its feet were partly iron and partly fired clay. As you were watching, a stone broke off without a hand touching it, struck the statue on its feet of iron and fired day and crushed them. Then the iron, the fired clay and bronze, the silver and the gold were shattered and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away, and not a trace of them could be found. But the stone that struck the statue became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This was the dream. Now we will tell the king its interpretation. Your Majesty, you are King of Kings. The God of heaven has given you authority, power, strength, and glory. Whoever your people live, or wild animals, birds of the sky, he has handed them over to you and made you ruler over them all. You are the head of gold. After you there will arise another kingdom, inferior to yours, and then another, and a third kingdom of bronze, which will rule the whole earth. A fourth kingdom will be as strong as iron, for iron crushes and shatters everything, and like iron that smashes, it will crush and smash all the others. You saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's fired clay and partly of iron. It will be a divided kingdom, though some of the strength of the iron will be in it. You saw the iron mixed with clay, and with the toes of the feet were partly iron and partly fired clay. Part of the kingdom will be strong and part of with brittle. You saw the iron mixed with clay. The peoples will mix with one another, but will not hold together, just as the iron does not mix with fired clay. In the days of the kings, the God of the heavens will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, and this kingdom will not be left to other people. It will crush them these kingdoms and bring them to an end, but itself endure forever. You saw a stone break off from a mountain without a hand touching it, and it crushed the iron, bronze, fired clay, silver, and gold. The great God has told the king what will happen in the future. The dream is certain, and its interpretation reliable. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell face down, worshipped Daniel, and gave orders to present an offering and incense to him. The king said to Daniel, "Your God is indeed God of gods, Lord of kings, and revealer of mysteries. Since you were able to reveal this mystery," then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many generous gifts. He made him ruler over the entire province of Babylon and chief governor over all the wise men of Babylon. At Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to manage the province of Babylon, but Daniel remained at the king's court. King Nebuchadnezzar made a gold statue 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. He set it up the plain of Dura, a province of Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar sent word to assemble the satraps, prefect governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, and magistrates, all the rulers of the province, to attend the decision of the statue King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the rulers of province assembled for the dedication of the statue the king had set up. Then they stood before the statue Nebuchadnezzar had set up. A herald loudly proclaimed, "People of every nation and language, you are commanded, when you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, drum, and every kind of music, you are to fall face down and worship the gold statue the king Nebuchadnezzar had set up. But whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a furnace of blazing fire." Therefore, when all the people heard the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, harp, and every kind of music, people of every nation and language fell face down and worshiped the god statue of King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Some Chaldees took the occasion to come forward and maliciously accuse the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "May the king live forever. You as king have issued a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the music fall face down and worship the gold statue. Whoever does not fall down and worship will be thrown into a furnace of blazing fire. There are some Jews who have been appointed to manage the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men have ignored you, the king. They do not serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up." Then in a furious rage, Nebuchadnezzar gave orders to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So these men were brought before the king. Nebuchadnezzar asked them, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, is it true that you don't serve my gods or worship the gold statue I have set up? Now if you're ready, when you hear the sound of the horn and other music, fall face down and worship the statue I made. But if you don't worship it, you will be immediately thrown into a furnace of blazing fire. And who is the God who can rescue you from my power?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, "Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to give you an answer to this question. If the God we serve exists, then he can rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he can rescue us from the power of you, the king. But even if he does not rescue us, we want you as king to know that we will not serve your gods or worship the gold statue you set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar was filled with rage, and the expression on his face changed towards Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He gave orders to heat the furnace seven times more than it's customary, and he commanded some of the best soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them in the furnace of blazing fire. So these men in their trousers, robes, head coverings, and other clothes were tied up and thrown into the furnace of blazing fire. Since the king commanded was so urgent and the furnace extremely hot, the raging flames killed those men who carried up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And the three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell bound into the furnace of blazing fire. Then the king Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in alarm. He said to the advisors, "Didn't we throw three men bound into the fire?" "Yes, of course, your majesty," they replied to the king. He explained, "Look, I see four men, not tied, walking around in the fire unharmed, and the fourth looks like the son of God." Nebuchadnezzar then approached the door of the furnace of blazing fire and called, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, your servants of the Most High God, come out." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire. When the satraps, prefects, governors, and the king's advisors gathered around, they saw that the fire had no effect on the bodies of these men. Not a hair on their heads were singed, their robes were uninfected, and there was no smell of fire on them. Nebuchadnezzar explained, "Praise to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angels and rescued his servants who trusted in him. They violated the king's command and risked their lives rather than to serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore I issue a decree of anyone of my people, nation, or language who says anything offensive against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego will be torn limb from limb of his house made of garbage dump. For there is no other God who is able to deliver like this." Then the king rewarded Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Okay, guys, I will see y'all tomorrow for day 254. May you have a blessed day. Shalom.